My name is Billy Garrett John. I am the director and executive producer, and I've done a bit of editing on Doctor Who Dark Dimension. It is a 4-part audio adaptation of an unmade Doctor Who story, which was supposed to be produced in 1993 for Doctor Who's 30th anniversary, but for a myriad of different reasons, it sort of fell through. And the rehearsal script was bashing around online for ages.
Doctor Who is a cross-generational, ever-constant and ongoing adventure. I think everyone finds their own Doctor in their own era that harkens back to their sort of childhood and brings back the nostalgia and the memories. I think that comes with the show.
It's an often maligned story, and I kind of thought one night, would the Doctor Who universe actually be better for having that story in it? And of course the answer is yes, because the more you expand the Doctor's universe, or any TV shows or any properties sort of universe, the more interesting it becomes. And I'd just given up on another writing project, and it just sort of flitted away, and I didn't really invest myself in it too much. But then this came along and I was like, well, in a sort of a lazy way, I'm adapting somebody else's work. And so I'm not as invested in it as much as I might be something that I've done myself. But I think there's a learning curve to actually just take an existing script and to try and retain the spirit of it and the general structure, but also, in inverted commas, improve it or build upon it or whatever, seemed like a really interesting challenge. In terms of trying to set a scene audio-wise that you've read through a script, you know, the original script says acid rains and electric lightning storms firing overhead in this desolate wasteland. And so immediately I just think thunderstorms, sort of a blowing of like an atmosphere, like radioactive dust, and then the sound of people walking on rubble. It's very easy for me to sort of say, it's obvious a Dalek is coming into the room because you hear the sound of it whirring in. But then on top of that, that doesn't necessarily strike fear into people's hearts, you know? So I thought with audio, once you've established that that is the sound of a Dalek coming into the room, you can almost, for new listeners, preempt their arrival by having like a theme. And I have an amazing composer called Luke Crichton who's been working on the music for it. And so it was just a case of going, I think the Dalek theme needs to be like, you know, big booming drums and harsh synths and stuff, like a fanfare from 100 different fax machines.
And a new addition to my Carnival of Monsters. So, it turns out you are good for one last thing, Snyder. Target practice.
No! Please!
Maximum power. Total extermination.
No!
Exterminate!
No!
And once you've sort of set those ground rules for yourself, like, okay, the Daleks sound like this, the Cybermen sound like this, it's quite easy to then build up a palette of colours that you can sort of paint the scene with. I had a pretty good idea when I went into it who I wanted to appear in certain parts. So I knew that Matt Toffolo, Batman March, who I do a Doctor Who review series online with called The Review of Death, I knew that I wanted him to play at least the 4th Doctor. And most of the people involved have come from all sort of facets of the community and different corners of the Doctor Who fandom, whether they're reviewers, whether they're actors, whether they've done audio dramas and stuff in the past. Because it was produced in lockdown, I just wanted to show the breadth of the community, and that, you know, everybody sort of coming together.
I think it's been great to be able to hear a new part of sort of classic Doctor Who, to be able to bring something back from, you know, that was never seen before.
Sadly, this COVID thing has been going on a bit longer than expected, so there may still be that captive audience there come January and February when it starts coming out. Doctor Who Dark Dimension is going to be coming out part 1 on the 23rd of January, and then every Saturday at 7 o'clock for the next 3 weeks. So it's a 4-part audio drama. But it's always been me in my bedroom just sort of messing around, having a laugh, which is the only way to do it, really, especially if you're a fan, I suppose.